Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm Ted Types, as I was joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Well, glad to be here today and looking forward to talking about one of my favorite topics is support Pokemon.
Yeah, support Pokemon, and more specifically, how we're defining it or how we're grouping it today is going to be engines. These are Pokemon
Yeah.
that draw slash search cards from your deck and are, I think, repeatable ones, not repeatable. But these, when people talk about engines, these are kind of what they're talking about. These are only Pokemon, so not like Pokegear or supporters or anything
Right.
like that. And there are a few cards that we aren't including in this list. So I guess I'll quickly give the honorable mention of the Jellicent from Storm Emeralda slash Deltarune. This card would make it, I guess, but it's not out yet internationally, so we're not talking about it. It's coming out in a few months internationally. It's a fun little card. It's not that good, but yeah, wanted to mention that one. And there's a few others that we didn't include, right?
Yeah, so there's four that when we put together a list we considered and took out, which I'll mention because you might want to be thinking, why aren't they here? Or they do belong. At one's Alakazam, which is certainly a good card. We didn't do it because it's a single use, right? You play it, you get you draw cards, but it doesn't repeat. Now, in the past, a card like the previous, like the Intellion Engine, we would have included that, even though that was non-playability, but that was much stronger with its
Yeah.
search. So we didn't
Or
include
Noctowl.
Alakazam. Or what?
Noctowl and Standard also is like that,
Oh, right.
um, which we
Yes.
do have. I will say with Alexam also, this is a question we're gonna talk about as we dive into things, and it will make things a little complicated, but that's how much we're valuing attacks as well. Obviously, Alakazam's an
Right.
attacker. Mostly, I'd say an attacker. The ability is meaningful. I guess more, also Kadabra is as well. That's also not here.
Right. Yeah. If you're not having Alakazam, you're not having Kadabra. Um, and then we're not having Teal Mask Ogerpon. Drawing one card. We do have some draw one card abilities. So drawing one card, I think would have classified it, but you have to have the energy in hand. It's energy acceleration as much, and energy acceleration is a support function, but like you said, it's not really support. Well, in
Prevention.
particular, it's engines, and so the biggest piece is the energy acceleration, which isn't part of this. So because you have to already have an energy in hand, didn't feel like that qualified. But again, a good card, right? So better than some of the cards we'll talk about. We understand that. We didn't include Meowth EX. That was probably the closest of the ones we didn't put in. It's a very different card, right? It does search. It's on play, single use. That's that's a borderline one to me. Would you say?
Yeah, and also comparing it to Noctowl, it's a lot more limited in what it finds. Anything Noctowl or anything Meowth EX would find, Noctowl can find, and more. So it's close. It's a support Pokemon, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's literally a new product containing lots of support or like cards to help your deck, and the only support
Yep.
Pokemon is Meowth, which is it's good. It's definitely good, but it's not quite qualifying. Again, it's not really an engine, but it's kind of part of it.
Right, and the last one we're not including is Team Rocket's Porygon Z, which I don't think you think of with an engine, but you discard two, draw one, which makes it a bad engine in general. But it's really there to help set up the attacking with it. So, it's got a very focused aspect to it, and just too bad of an engine to include with this.
Yeah, I saw a video kind of talking about this. I know it didn't necessarily inspire this video, but I did see it. Someone made a video like talking about engines, and this is on, I think, and it is very bad, right? The card is not good as an engine. It's not like the worst card in the game. It sees a little bit of play, um, but it's just as a true engine, it's pretty bad.
Right. I mean, like we've had like basic, like in the V's Pokemon, certainly you discard two, draw one, and it wasn't, and you didn't use it for an engine. You used it for some that you needed to be doing discarding, right? It just doesn't work as as a generic engine. It's a pretty, you know, it's a pretty big fail, in that type of scenario.
Yeah.
Uh,
But regardless, let's hop into
yep.
things. And you said you wanted to start with, we talked about this a little bit before, you wanted to start with Rapidash, your favorite engine, right?
It's mine, and I assume this is going at S tier. Oh, so we're going S through F tier, by the way, right? Because if
Yeah.
you're listening, just to point that out, which is the standard way that we do things and pretty common. So we have 18 cards we're going to get through, just so you know, and nine of the 18 see play. There's a couple new ones that haven't had the chance to see play, international play that is. But for the most part, so Rapidash is it, but half the cards see play. Rapidash is in the half that doesn't see play. Some of them have been played like once in an event, but like on Limitless. But this is what it does because you might not remember what it does because I know I didn't before this. I know 10 types did know because he knows all these things.
Of
But
course, yeah.
you draw one card during your turns, which isn't terrible. It's not good. I'm not going to say it's good, but it's not terrible. It's certain. It meets certain requirements that I think of as for an engine. It's a single prize engine, which is what I like in engines. It's a stage one, which is good. I mean, a basic is better, but those are limited when basics have good abilities. Usually, it seems like a lot of key engine pieces are single prize stage ones because they're relatively easy to get in play. It's not on playability. It's every turn you can stack it, so you could get 2 or 3 cards on your turn. So it's not bad, but of course, drawing one card isn't much. So it's I get it. It's not too good, but it's not complete garbage. And it does not have a good attack. So the attack aspect doesn't factor into this. It does 60 for 2 energies. So on a stage one, you're not playing it for the attack. So it's a pretty mediocre, poor to mediocre ability is what I'd say. But I wanted to start with this just to get a sense of how we're doing things. It's not that high. In one sense, since it doesn't get played, I don't think it's going to get played. It's hard to put it at C tier even to me. So it's probably but it's not F tier, right? It's probably D tier. You could argue it's low C tier. I just wanted to start with this just to get a sense of where these cards are going to fall because I think we're going to get a big range of things spread, which is good. But how much are we shifting things to good or bad? Which is I thought Rapidash was a good test case.
Yeah, and a few things, other things I would talk about with this card and engine in general, because I think it's very important to understand, is what you're getting out and also what you're putting in, right? So it's a stage one,
Mm-hmm.
as you're saying. So that's 2 cards, the basic and the stage one there, and
Yep.
they're like relatively searchable. Most of these are pretty searchable, um, but regardless, you put in 2 cards, and then you get out 1 card every turn. This is actually the same thing as Dracloak. Dracloak is, obviously it involves a Dragapult EX, but it's good, relatively good on its own, I suppose. But also with
Yep.
Rapidash, it's a card here that you only see 1 card. Dracloak you see 2, so will Dracloak only gets
Right.
you one of them. It kind of gets you 2. Again, you are seeing 2 there. So
Right.
obviously that makes Dracloak stronger than
Yes.
Rapidash, but then over the turn you play it, you are down. Or I guess the turn you play the basic, it does do anything. So you play stage one, then it replaces itself, but you're still down
Yep.
1 from the investment, and then a turn after that, you're kind of neutral. And then so as the game goes on, it gets better, and that is good. But obviously, it depends how long the game goes on. It's not really ever going to be this like amazing engine unless the game's going on super long, where it is pretty good, I suppose. But ultimately, well, pretty good. It's not that good, right? But it's I mean, you look at Rapidash versus Fezzik EX, you could theoretically have a game where Rapidash can draw you more cards than Fezzik EX. It is
Right.
technically possible. But ultimately, it is over time getting you some cards, which is nice. That'll apply to one engine, which we'll definitely talk about, and I have some things to say about. But Rapidash is, these are the things to kind of think about with it. But yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
D tier is fine. I could see it as C tier as well. I'm trying to think, like
Uh,
ultimately,
let
so,
me ask another question here a second. So, because one of the good engines, which we do have one now, but I'll compare it to the Cinccino of old, which is
yeah.
single prize, stage one, which with that, the make do ability, you discard 2, draw 1. So you're getting 2 cards, getting into something hopefully you don't like, but you are only gaining 1 card per turn. So how much better is a discard 1, draw 2 versus just draw 1, do you think, in general, too?
I think it is it's certainly substantially better. I
Okay.
think when you look at it, I think it clear. I think the digging 2, increasing your hand size by 1, which Drake also does. They function
Hmm.
very similarly, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. But
Yep.
that clears the bar of being good enough to see play. It doesn't actually drastically clear it when you look at Enzo EX and Dracloak in standard. They see some. They see play, but they obviously see
Yeah.
play because they're tied to attacks very much as
Hmm.
well. If they didn't, they'd be a lot sketchier. they'd be okay. And then the draw one per turn just is a little below that bar, I'd say. So
Yeah.
but the one clears and the one doesn't, which is in some ways a really big
Hmm.
deal, right? Yeah,
Yeah, because I would think I'll just say like if we had Chinchini with Make Do, it's probably a B tier. I don't think it's any lower than that,
yeah.
honestly. So should Rapidash is it like two tiers below it? That's one way I'm also thinking about it.
Um, I'm trying to think through the different like things here, what's going to be in what tier. Obviously, this is kind of setting the benchmark. In
Hmm.
some ways, it's very safe of an engine, but it's not very impressive. Obviously,
Yeah,
when we talk about these, we're kind of talking about competitive play or pretty serious play, but that's obviously not the only way the game gets played, and some of these are just really
right.
bad. So we kind of need to lower, again, that bar there. Um, I would
Yeah,
say,
I just took a look. It was not playing any City League deck lists either, so that's a rough sign for it
yeah, I
too.
mean, Rapidash is a card that's very underwhelming, I will say. I
Yeah.
don't think people will look at this card and are like, yeah, I want to play this card. It's not very interesting. So I'm fine. I'm fine with C or D tier. I think it's in one of those tiers. You want in D tier, right?
I think yeah, let's D tier, and it probably stays top of D tier. I would think, and if we need to, we can shift it later on. But it's right around that CD threshold.
Yeah. Now
So
I guess we should go to a new card, which is Toucannon. Toucannon has the same ability. Well, kind of. Obviously, Toucannon is a different card, but again, it has the exact same ability, drawing a card once every turn. Of course, this card is a
right,
new card. Imagine probably most of you are familiar with Toucannon. This is a card that, again, draws one card every turn. It's a stage 2. It is colorless, so it's kind of easier to search, but it is stage 2, so it requires,
yeah,
in terms of like getting it into play, it requires another card. Could be slower as well, but does require another card, like definitely. And then
right.
Feather Rondo for one colorless does 60, 20 more for each bench by going both tiers on your opponents. A pretty good attack. Obviously, we're talking about engines here, and attacks play into a some. Obviously,
Yeah.
Toucannon's better than Rapidash.
Well, as an ability, as in terms of engine, it's worse,
In terms
right?
of just
You would
supporting, yeah, just drawing.
just an engine piece. It's worse because it's a stage two versus a stage one. So it's noticeably engine wise. It if right, it'd be an F, and if it was just an engine, right? If it didn't have a
Um,
viable attack.
yeah, it's probably, yeah, there are two that are like essentially objectively worse. There's the one card that we'll talk about, which is kind of weird, and then there's
Okay.
Sumax Porygon-Z as well, which is objectively
Well,
worse, essentially.
yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, but the ability wise, it's if it was just for the engine, it best it's like bottom of D tier, right? On the
yeah,
stage two, drawing one card's not good. The attack is pretty good though. I mean, we think we've both played around with it, right, in live since it came out. It's colorless, so it gives you a little bit of an engine. You can also attack with it in some ways. I might have said this before. In some ways, it's kind of like with my old friend Dodrio, that would draw you a card and you could attack with it. So, and it's kind of like that. Um, it's the attack makes this card decidedly better than Rapidash, even though the ability's worse. And also with Toucannon, because as you mentioned, Drakeloak, which is a good ability. We'll talk about the ability later, but also it's a part of Dragapult, which is good. But the Dragapult's attack is a separate card, whereas this attack Feather Run is part of Toucannon. So I think Toucannon gets more of a bump by the attacking ability than say Drakeloak does for Dragapult.
yeah. I think, and with Toucannon, I think the attack's better than the ability. The ability just isn't that good. It's not. It's not very good, right? Quite simply, it's not very
Yeah,
good. I've heard, some people are saying it's pretty good. I think that's because the public aren't familiar with something like Rapidash, right? Where Rapidash is
yeah,
better. And then Toucan, it's an okay card, right? It's not a terrible card,
yeah.
but we're obviously, weighing more so the ability for this tier list isn't exactly just ranking how good the cards are.
Right.
I would say what maybe a C tier engine, it definitely adds something with its attack, which then is a threat and is something you can, utilize, but the
Right.
ability itself it's okay. I think it slots pretty easily into decks. Rapidash slots a bit more awkwardly into decks. It doesn't take like because Toucannon. I suppose being in like talking about engines are helping you set up, right? So
Yep.
Toucannon means you can set up your attacker less, and spend more resources on whatever, um, because you have Toucan as an attacking option. So in some ways that actually helps you set up more. Um, Obviously, then in that, if I'm saying that's an engine, then like every attacker is an engine by that mark, which doesn't like really make sense. But it does take pressure off your other like stuff
Right.
because of its attack. So I'd say C tier.
Yeah, I think it's C tier. If you're looking at, I agree, right? Because you use it to kind of set up, get going, but then any turn you need to, you slap an energy on for some damage, either big damage or even little damage. But you can always, if you need to do some more work to get your whatever your main attacker is, it takes the pressure off there. And you can, for a single prize deck, it's not going to be as good as like Alakazam, but it's probably not it's not complete garbage if you really wanted to make a two cannon focused deck as well. So if it would probably might even be I don't know if it'd be B tier if we were focused more on the full card, but I think C tier for what we're doing is definitely the place where it belongs.
Yeah, I think it probably would be B tier if we were like looking at it as a whole card. But and then there's like a main attacker. I mean, it's getting its own deck on Limitless. It's kind of weird. I'm not even sure exactly what that includes. I know that's not all the two cannon decks, but regardless, it's a cool little card. It's versatile, but yeah, as an engine, it's
Yeah.
kind of mediocre. Then I guess we'll talk about Drakelook, right? Drakelook's card we've talked about already a bit. Obviously, it's very
Yep.
good. It's probably one of the most played cards here. With its ability, Recon Directive. Once per turn, you look at the top two, put one to your hand, put the other on the bottom, and then you do have an attack, Fire Psychic. It does 70 for 2, which is actually not that bad. It's not that good either, but
Yeah.
and then obviously it evolves to Drag Bolt EX, which is the top deck in the game. So it's really interesting. It's like certainly a solid ability. It's the best of the abilities we've seen so far. But despite being tied to the top deck in the game and a very important piece of it, it's not. I mean, it's not an engine that we see in other decks.
No, I'm just like scrolling through the Limitless page, and it's less than probably 1% of the time it's in a non-Dragapult deck
Yeah.
for the engine. And we don't have, well, I mean, we have a number of good engines, although not great single prize engines. So this isn't a bad single prize engine though either. It's certainly obviously it's a better engine than two cannon. You get one card the same as two cannon, but you get to look at two, so therefore you're getting a better card most of the time. And it's a stage one, or again, it's better than Rapidash, stage one like Rapidash, but you're looking at two again. So this is, I think, an engine piece that even without Dragapult would see some play, and then it gets some bump from Dragapult, but less than like Toucan because that's not part of it's not on the card. But even if you wanted the Dragapult engine, you're probably going to, if you have the energies, you can put at least some Dragapult in as attacking option. So it gets a little bump for that. So this is gonna be, I mean, it's probably gonna be like B tier. I think we haven't really talked this stuff through too much in advance, but it's probably around B tierish. I'm thinking, right? There's definitely better engines, but it's not a bad engine either.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you said there's definitely better engines. We're not necessarily going to put something in S tier. We will see. But I don't know. I think it's A tier. I mean, it's really
I
nice.
think it's A tier.
For a draw, or it's pretty good. Like when you think of when you think of traditional good engines, what do you think
Hmm.
of?
Well, from that's not in standard right now.
Yeah,
Let's say.
because I think at points we've said, maybe on the podcast, certainly off the podcast, that like the engines right now, they're somewhat mediocre.
Yeah, they're
At least
not
I've
that
said that.
great.
Yeah, but so what are ones that are great then?
I mean, classic engine is the Italian engine. Which if not you use the Inteleon, you just search for any two trainers. The Drizzile, the stage one, you search for any one trainer. The Inteleon without the Drizzile also wasn't as good. It also had a little pinging option for the Inteleon, so all those things factored in, but that was good. Chinchino with the make do ability, and I think there was there've been other things
Yeah.
like that. I think that's
Like,
pretty good on. Were you gonna say something?
oh, I was just say, what are you talking about Pidgeotto there or not?
Yeah, yeah, like Pidgeotto too. A Bibarel, which I forgot. Forgot about that, but Bibarel potentially with Squovit. but Beryl was pretty good, and Radiant Greninja, right, was good too.
Yeah, that's true. I will say with most of those, things like Pidgeotto is the same as Dracloak essentially, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Pidgeotto was,
Yep.
was pretty solid. And then Gigino probably a little bit better, and that's the same as Enzoric EX there.
Yep.
Inteleon, the Inteleon engine is pretty similar to Noctowl as well. That's a
Yep.
little less universal, Noctowl. And
Right.
then so we actually have engines that are kind of similar. They're just not really put into lots of different decks there is kind of what I'd say. But
Mm.
Dracloak in that regard actually is a pretty solid engine. Um, and then you have the bump from Dragon Ball EX as well. I think in some ways the bump from Dragon Ball EX almost masks how good of a
Mm.
card Dracloak is. Where it's thought of as this
Yeah.
like nice little addition to a really good deck, but it's a very good engine. Um, and Dragon Ball EX is also very good. So I think it's A tier. I don't think it's like broken or anything like that, but I think it's
Okay.
good.
All right. I'm willing to do that. The thing that I'm hesitant of is if it's such an A-tier engine, I would expect to see it played in non-Dragapult decks. But I guess the counter argument is Dragapult's such a good attacker. Once you have the basic of the stage one, play Dragapult.
Yeah, I mean, like I've seen decks that play Drake Engine. Well, so I've made decks that I'm like, oh, Drake Engine, and then I'm like, oh well, I want to make this deck better, so now I'm playing Dragapult, and it's like, well, okay, now I'm just playing Dragapult because it's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the main thing there. Obviously, the best attacker for Drakeloak is going to be Dragapult. So, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think A tier. Um, it's very good. You see two cards. I guess I will mention now. Let's talk about Enzoric EX as well. And I want to talk about this
Okay.
with Drakeloak, and we talked about Pidgeotto and Cinccino in the past. And with that, you saw that the one. So obviously Enzoric EX, you discard one, draw two. And as an attack that copies a bench and Pokemon as well, which we'll get into
Right.
some. But Dracoloak, you look at the top two, put one to your hand. These are both stage ones. They both let you see two cards. They both increase your hand size by one. Those are the main things you're looking at there for what makes an engine what it is. But obviously, they have a difference. Enzoric does draw you. In some ways, Enzoric draws you an extra card compared to Dracoloak, but it's not like
Hmm.
it's twice as good. Enzoric EX,
No.
though, you have some discard synergy as well, which is nice. I will say, Enzark EX sometimes it's played as an engine. You'll see that more than Dracloak, I think. But I think that's mostly due because Enzark EX is a bit weaker of an attacker than Dragon Ball EX.
Hmm.
And it's still mostly played as its main, like the main attacker there. It does also a two-pricer.
Right.
But regardless, in terms of the abilities there, the big difference is the fact that, or one big difference is Dracloak puts the other cards back into your deck, meaning that you can then, because if you don't ever shuffle your deck, they're very similar. You see the two cards, you see two new cards every time, but once you shuffle your
Hmm.
deck, you can see the same cards over and over, technically, so that like hurts you some using the ability a lot. And then yeah, you're not like thinning as much with Dracoloak. So that is worth mentioning. So long story short, I think Enzor EX's ability is a little bit stronger than Dracoloak's. Um, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The tricky thing is that look, as I said, I think the Cinccino with the make do ability, you discard two, one, draw two, exact same ability as this, different name, but obviously does the same thing, was very good. I think the downside to Enzork as its own engine piece is it's a stage two, right? Having a stage two,
wait, stage one? You mean two
I mean,
prizer?
it's a two prizer. I mean, sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
thank you, thank you. It's a two prize Pokemon, which means you can get gusted up and get knocked out potentially. So, I don't that's what I don't like. Now, if you're playing multi prize attackers, it doesn't really matter for the most part because then they're leaving your attacker in play still. Um, so it's maybe not as big a deal. But giving something that it gives up two prizes does make it decidedly worse than the Cinccino engine would be, for instance. And even with Dracloak, the ability is better than Dracloak and Zorak, I would say. But it's a two prizer, so therefore that weakens it too, right? So I'm wondering if it falls more at B tier, just because it's a two prize Pokemon.
yeah, and also I will say comparing this to the original trade Pokemon Zoroark GX, that card was a better attacker. Oh, I don't know. It was a better attacker. It's an all-time great Pokemon.
Hmm.
Um, and it's it was more universal as well. And Zoroark EX is actually probably less universal of an attacker than Dragapult EX, and Dragapult EX is two different types of energy on a stage too. So, and Zoroark EX doesn't get teched into stuff. I mean, I've seen people do it. It's I'm just gonna say it's not good. It doesn't work very well. But regardless, Enzark EX is I don't know. I think it's also A tier. It is a two prize. It does have two retreat as well. But realistically, when you think of it being like a quote two prize liability, um, its HP is really high for like just an average Pokemon. So what if you're thinking of this like what in a single prize deck, it's a two prize liability? Is what you're saying?
Certainly a single prize deck. If you had a multi-prize deck that was tanky, this would be a little might not be as good, right? If you're playing Dragapult, for instance, you're not going to play as an engine, but
Yeah.
you also wouldn't want to because it's more easily one shot than your Dragapult. Or if you had, something tanky, like a Mega with higher
Yeah.
HP again, it might be a concern too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Those HPs aren't actually that much higher, so I don't think it's a huge deal there. But it
Okay.
definitely is. It is worth mentioning. And then also with the single prizers, like your opponent's just probably, long story short, probably not one-shotting this, right? Like it's possible, but
Yeah.
it's kind of hard, especially when they need to be playing like boss at the same time. So it theoretically is a bit of a liability. I think in practice, it's not a huge deal.
Mhm. The other thing is, a Roblox Pokemon, you can't use Pokepad now, right? The only way to
Yeah, that's true.
get it, there's some supporters, but the only item is Ultra Ball, I think. There
Yeah.
might be some other, there's like
Um,
Dusk Ball or something, but to get it
yeah.
reliably, you're playing Ultra Ball, so you're more limited. So that hurts it too.
Yeah, no, that's also worth mentioning. I'm fine. I think it is A tier though. I think I'm gonna if you're okay with that. But I guess you're thinking below Drake.
Okay, we'll put it. Yeah, it's worse than Drake as an engine, probably, right?
Yeah. I think if they were the same card except for the ability, then I would say um Zoroark EX is a little bit better, but they're not. They're different cards.
Yeah. Okay. It's fair enough. You're getting it gets into a lot of trade offs here, is what as what to me what we're seeing, which makes sense. That's where it gets. You can't really compare apples to apples because there's so many differences, but that's part of what makes the discussion interesting. Where are we going next? I'll tell you what. How about should we do the card that kind of started the conversation and
Sure,
jump to
let's do
Chandelure?
it. Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
we'll do Chandelure.
So, because I started playing Chandelure from playing the Mega Chandelure, and then I've got dropped the Mega just to base it on this. So it's got an ability, Alluring Light. Once during your turn, each player can draw a card. So, not a very good ability. We had the Stage One Rapidash that we said isn't all that good. It's a Stage One. It draws a card. This is Stage Two, so that's worse there. You draw a card, and your opponent draws a card, so that's not good either. It does have an attack that you can use, does 30 per card in your opponent's hand, so the ability pairs with that. And it hasn't really seen play. I think one person played it in Alakazam deck competitively, at least on the Limitless International scene, which obviously there's better options there. There is the Mega Chandelure is out now, so it might start to see a little bit of play because if you're playing a Mega Chandelure deck, you're playing this Chandelure some as well. But in terms of draw, it's fun, and I'm playing it. So with certain level of success, I would say. But it just in terms of an engine piece, it's pretty bad. Unfortunately, I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do want to mention I actually got you into this deck. I think. I mean, I didn't like come up with a deck, but I did
Hmm.
get you into it. I believe. I was saying
Yeah,
you should check this out. And yeah, you liked it, and then you've actually cut the Mega Chandelure, despite the fact that the Mega Chandelure is the reason that we like people are starting to like talk about it, which is kind of
yes.
funny and kind of weird. But regardless, oh, I will say the new Lampent though is good, right? You've been playing with that.
Yeah, you have the Lampet and you have the telepathic psychic energy, which helps you set up better. And yeah, Mega Chandelure, I just found it was better without the Mega Chandelure. So I was like, okay, I'm just cutting that out of the deck and keeping the other pieces, more or less.
Yeah. Oh,
But in
sorry.
terms, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So another side note, looking at this Alakazam deck, 'cause I've seen Chandelure and Alakazam like a couple of times. At this point, it is definitely better to play
Hmm.
Toucannon. Um,
Yes.
not that either one's a great option in Alakazam. I don't think Toucannon and Alakazam's amazing. It does something that Alakazam doesn't do. Specifically, it doesn't get walled off by like lots of random stuff, which Alakazam just like does. It has these like random auto losses. So that's cool, I suppose. But Yeah. At this point, Chandelure is like not really worth it as an engine. Did you read this attack?
Well, Mind Rule, I think I did. Does
Okay.
30 per card in your opponent's hand, so it's a one energy attacker as long as you have fire energy in your deck. So, you will knock some things out. Obviously, if you fire weakness, if that's something relevant to the matchup, that's useful there. Although, grass isn't the biggest thing around.
Yeah.
So,
Or metal, and not there are worse types, but it's not
yeah.
something you're overly worried about.
No, you're not putting this into a deck to hit for weakness,
Yeah.
and I don't think you're going to make this the tech while you'd play this over two cannon because of weakness there probably.
Yeah. I will mention something. It is cool in. And this is not the reason this card was printed, but it's kind of related. That's with Mega Frost Lass. You can increase the damage you do there, which has a similar attack to
Yep.
Chandelure. But regardless, this card, the ability obviously is kind of looking at it objectively, it's really bad, right? Like it's um
Yeah.
I mean, drawing two in a stage two. I mean, we were talking about two cannon, it would be without its attack, which again, the attack here is bad. It's better than Rapidash is, but it's like worse than two cannons. Which, two cannons is not some crazy card, and the attack's only accounting for a little bit of this anyways, because we're talking about engines. But
Right.
it draws you a card on the stage two, but it also draws your opponent a card. Um, the interesting thing is it forced them to draw, allowing you to get them closer to decking out, which is the cool use
Right.
case of this card. To be honest, I don't think that's very good. You've been playing with some on live and finding success with it, right?
Yeah, the main attacking options, the Comfey, the single prize Comfey, each player draws three. That's the main attacker with it, and then also the Maractus that does what's it,
Yeah,
30,
trapping.
and
20,
it
I
traps, or it does
think.
20. You'd
Yeah,
rather do less with it, and
yeah,
they trap, but the Comfey's the main thing. So that's how I've been playing it. But so obviously in a very specific case, the ability can be good, but it's just a general engine. It's bad. You're going to help out your opponent as much as you, and do a lot of work to set up to make that happen. So I think it's going to have to go down as F tier, unfortunately, even though it's one of the main decks I'm playing right now.
yeah. It's it helps your opponent. That's bad. And it's also a lot of work to set up to do something not very good. So,
Yeah.
I have one question though.
Okay.
Ultimately, I mean, and I mentioned this to you before. Why do you play this, right? Like, if you
I
play
mean,
it, like, if it's F tier, like F tier is really bad. Like, you don't play
okay.
Rapidash, and you haven't thought
No.
about playing Rapidash. I think I know the answer. But yeah,
I mean, it's fun. It's off meta, and I do like alternate win conditions because it is a deck out your opponent deck that it works with. So that's why I play it. So obviously, if you're looking to deck out your opponent, I considered, you could put it in a mill deck too, right, to get some extra
I mean, you're kind of
firepower in the
playing it
mill
mill
deck.
deck, right?
Well,
Or
I'm not actually milling. It's going into hand, and then I do play
yeah,
a bunch of Xerosics, but the best card in format. We've
yeah.
we've discussed that enough in the past that
Yeah, no,
we
Zero
don't need to
is
go
good
there
with
now.
this. I do think that part of this card, the reason that you're able to win with it in the deck is because people aren't very prepared for it, which isn't
Yes,
surprising, right? But and
right.
like with Zero Six, also I guess I'll say a part of why people are like sometimes struggle against Zero Six as well. Obviously, there's some situations where it is really rough. Most of the time, it's not too bad, but it's just like people aren't quite prepared for it enough.
Right.
Where oftentimes if you keep the three most support cards in your hand, you're okay. If you need to get rid of 10 cards, that's going to be pretty rough. But
Right.
yeah, obviously that's like pretty far into the game as well. So that's turn like 10 of the game with your stage two engine that doesn't really draw you much. So we're saying F tier.
Yeah. No, look, I can be getting rid of. They're in the teens by turn two if I go second. If I
Teams
go
for turn
or
two. That's
no,
got to be
no, by
more
turn
them.
three they're in the teens because I'm forcing them to get like 6 cards, 5 to 6 cards, extra cards at hand. But
But like
anyway,
surely then they should just like place lower, right? Which they're not doing, is my
they
guess.
should, but they don't. Right? No one's expecting what I'm doing. Right? That's a big factor, which is
Yeah.
why you can do things on live you can't IRL competitively too. But ability wise, it's an F tier ability, right? But it also points out the fact that you can actually have some fun with things that aren't that good too.
Yeah, I think it's fun. In some ways that is valuable, I think, and I think that's why Rapidash isn't played and Chandelure is played some. It's more fun, it's more silly, it's more unique. Rapidash is like the least unique card in the game. Well, maybe not. It has an ability, but it's like the ability is so boring. When you think of like what's the most boring ability you could possibly have, I think you might think of Rapidash. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, Chandelore's is a lot more interesting. Speaking of, so I mentioned Mega Frostlass, and there was actually a card meant to pair with Mega Frostlass, which I kept getting confused name-wise. It's Frostmoth. I kept getting Frostmoth and Frostlass confused for a little while,
Yeah.
and saying the wrong one. But regardless, we have Frostmoth here from the same set as Mega Shon or as Mega Frostmoth. No, Mega Frostlass. There we go.
There we
So
go.
anyways, you have Frostmoth here with the ability, which is essentially the same thing as Chandelure. You and your opponent each draw one. If it's in the active, though, it has an attack, but it's not very good. Ultimately, this card is, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about this card. I've not played with this card. I imagine, I suppose, we'd love to hear your thoughts on in the comment section on these cards. If you played with these, especially some of the more niche ones. If you played with Drake you can say your experience with that too, I suppose. But with some of these more niche ones, I haven't played against this either. So what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on this card? I guess.
I mean, I guess the place to start out is comparing it to Chandelure, right? Because it's very similar.
Yeah.
It's got the plus on Chandelure because this is a stage one. Frostmoth stage one. That's better. It's worse than the Chandelure though because it has to be the active, whereas the Chandelure can be on the bench. So probably the net is slightly negative to it, and also the Chandelure does have a better attack.
Yeah.
This one's a 2 energy attack. So it's not that good, and you're moving an energy off, which I guess could be good, right? Assuming it's getting knocked out, you're getting something powered up for the next turn as well. But I would think it's a worse ability than Chandelure, although probably pretty close to, which isn't saying much because already put Chandelure in F tier.
Yeah, I'm fine putting it right below Chandelure and F tier. Um,
Okay.
we don't really just spend too much time on this. It's not like
No.
we were talking about Chandelure being interesting. It's not. This card isn't that interesting, especially with Chandelure. Like just if you want to play a slower game, play Chandelure. Um, Theoretically, it taking longer to set up shouldn't be a huge deal.
Yeah.
It might be. I don't know.
All right. So where you want to go next here?
Let's go with another ability where you to be in the active here. Oh, I guess I will mention, because I'm not going to talk about Crobat just yet. But there is a Crobat
Okay.
in Standard which searches for a card, puts it on top of your deck if it's in the active or something like that. That one doesn't actually,
Hmm.
that one I didn't mention with the honorable mentions. It doesn't actually increase your hand size. Like it doesn't get you any cards. Well, it like searches for a card, but it doesn't go into your hand, so it's not here.
No,
But
no, it is here. You put
no, that's
Crobat
a
in the
different
tier list.
Crobat.
Oh, what's okay? What's the
This
other one
Crobat
do?
from the pre-release promo Crobat, which you played with, I think.
Okay.
I kept like getting it
Okay.
was with the first set, Chaos
All
Rising.
right.
But regardless,
All right. Yeah. Yes.
yeah, the card that does seem to be the active though that is pretty good, which I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on, is Mega Kangaskhan. I'll quickly go over it if you're not familiar. It has the ability if
Yeah.
it's in the active run errand, you can draw 2 cards. You can't use more than one run errand ability each turn, which is worth mentioning. Then
Hmm.
rapid fire combo for 3 colors here. It does 200, and then you flip a coin until you get tails, 50 more for each heads. Side note, I really like this card's design, except for the coin flip aspect of it. I don't really like it that
Hmm.
much. I think it's kind of annoying. But regardless, you have that, and then
Yeah.
also it does have 3 retreat cost. That is kind of bad because you can't retreat
Yeah.
for free with Air Balloon. You can use Latias SCX though. And then also another thing is that it does have 300 HP. That is good. So yeah, an interesting card. Obviously, we're mostly focusing on the engine aspect. Obviously, it's played and is played to attack and also to draw.
Yeah. I mean, drawing 2 cards. This potentially is the best draw engine that we've gotten. Could be the best draw engine around, right? Drawing 2 cards is good. You need to ideally you're starting your turn the active either because you're attacking with Mega Kangaskhan or because you're promoting it after getting knocked out.
Yeah.
Something else. So you draw two. We'll get a one that draws a third card, but you have to have something be knocked out. So that's this gets you set up from the very beginning from turn one, right? And if you're going first, you're playing Mega Kangaskhan, you just slap in the active spot pretty much every time because you're drawing 2 extra cards, and you get set up much better with. The attack is the HP is high. Fighting weakness is it
It's okay. Yeah.
can be a problem, but it's a fair it's obviously what it's going to be in fight. So you have to think about that a little bit. 300 HP, you're tanky. You get up 3 prizes though, so it has that scary side. Because assuming you're not attacking with it, the only way you can attack with it is if you're trying to go tanky with something like a Bouffalante deck that's trying to get like 2 or 3 shot. Because then you do have tools to heal things up. Right? If you have 3 energies, you can do some healing and stuff like that. But It's yeah, a very good ability though, and a balanced card with a good attack. I think a good mix of the attack and the HP. I guess it needs three retreat. Obviously, it'd be a lot better if it had two, but maybe that wouldn't isn't the way Kangaskhan's designed. But this is the best of the engine pieces we've hit so far.
Me. So I'm surprised you're so high in this one. You like to talk about single prize engines. This is obviously not a
Yeah,
single prize engine.
no,
And then on top of that, or one, it's also the only two prizer that's well,
this
honestly,
is
it's the
three
only two
prize.
prize in the whole game that's like interesting. That has a cool ability. I mean, there are some that do something kind of like Mega Venusaur.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think if there's another one that's really interesting, even as interesting as Mega Venusaur. But yeah, most of the megas are boring. Mega Kangaskhan is, I think, pretty well designed, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But this card, I'm surprised you're so high on it. How much do you play with this?
I've probably played less of it than you. I was
Okay.
very hesitant to play with it. I've been starting to play with it a little bit more. And I think it works well. I guess the question is what type of, you put it in like a basic box deck, right?
Yeah.
Which I do like, and it obviously works well in that because you need Lati. We have Latias in format. Once Latias rotates, I would think Megas Kangaskhan kind of goes away at that point. Yes, there is the new stage one. They will do that too, but that just makes it much clunkier. So, um, yeah, it's a good end. It's just getting two cards, and you can a lot of times if you're playing Mega Kangaskhan, you have a bunch of copies in it. You're getting it in the active turn one. You're getting two extra cards from turn one. You usually want to play it in decks where you're going first, and you get set up so much better when you're getting two extra cards per turn from your very first turn.
Yes. It does take some resources to get into the active though. And
Yeah.
then again, it can kind of be a liability. And I think I don't know. I mean, it is also part of me. I mean, so I played my Kangaskhan some as well. Yeah, I guess it is better than the Drakeloak and the Enzoric EX. I mean, it's less. I don't like it as much as those. I'm not gonna lie. I like an
Okay.
engine that kind of builds value. Like you don't get any extra value from playing it more than one, other than the fact you can start it more often is really going to be the big thing there, which is
Right.
like a reason to potentially play it. But like it's a little I don't know if clunky, but it just isn't. Well, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is it can't really take all the load in terms of draw, or like I guess it obviously it's not. You're gonna pair it with like trainers and stuff, but in terms of
Hmm.
the engine on your board, you can get a bunch of Dracos, you can get a bunch of Enzoric EXs, you can even get a bunch of Rapidashes or Chandelures to draw more than Mega Kangaskhan each turn. Obviously, that's kind of like a lot, right? A lot of resources
Yeah.
there, but with like Dracloak and Enzoric EX, yes, they're stage ones, but they are able to see and get more cards than Mega Kangaskhan. Um, as the game goes on, once they're actually set up, they're going to be better because you can have multiple of them.
Yeah, here's the thing. Looking at the two, it's a good card, right? This is
Yep.
definitely it's around A tier, certainly. It's
Yeah.
like it's not well above 2K then, right? So it's hard to compare to Drakeloak because Drakeloak gets so skewed because of Dragapult. So comparing it to Enzoric, right?
Well, that gets
Um,
pretty skewed too.
the thing is, well, but Enzorark, just in terms of an engine, is really only played in Enzorark decks for the most part, whereas Mega Kangaskhan is played in several different decks,
It's
right?
most yes, but I will say so. The decks it's played in. I'm quickly scrolling through to make sure I'm accurate on this. So it's mostly in big basic decks where it's also functioning as a meaningful part of attacking. So that's kind of
Hmm.
like ends Zorak EX in the ends deck or whatever.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
and then
It's also it's
uh,
in a bunch of Crustal decks too.
yeah, it's a
One of your
Crustal.
favorites.
Yeah, my favorite. Crustal
Yeah.
is weird. Um, it's okay in Crystal, I suppose. I played with Crystal some. I've not found my Kangaskhan to be that good in Crystal. I'm not going to lie. But I haven't played with it that much.
Yeah.
And then Slowking as well. It's played in some. I also don't love it in Slowking. I don't like grind these decks, but I'd say it's like by far the best in these big basic style decks, and it is good in these
Yes.
decks. But it's not then it's pretty similar to Enzark EX in the End stack or Drakelook in the Dragapult EX stack. It's seen play outside that a little bit, but I think it is in a similar boat there. Yeah,
Okay. Just in terms of tier, it's definitely not S tier, right?
yeah.
But I think would you agree it's an A tier deck, or you think it's a card, or you think it's a B tier
Now, I'm
card?
good with A tier. You want to put it above the other ones? Is that what you want to do?
I would I'd slot it in between the two. How about that?
You would?
I mean, if you want to put Enzork above it, I'm fine with that because in a lot of ways, as an engine concept, the Ends is better. I will grant you that. It's just somehow people haven't embraced Enzork as an engine for whatever reason.
Yeah, no, I'm fine putting it anywhere you want there. I often take too much charge in these tier lists,
All right,
so
well, let's
you
put it
put
in
it
the
where you
middle then,
want. Okay.
because I still think Drake Lokes is probably better as a single prize. I think that gives it a slight advantage.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about the other multi-prize engine on this, which is Pheasant Dipty EX. You mentioned it before.
Yeah,
You, I guess, quote alluded to it. I mean, you talked about it essentially with the ability to flip
yes,
the script. I will mention this card has a decent attack technically, but it's essentially never used. But anyways, flip the script here says you get to draw 3 cards. If any of your Pokemon are knocked out last turn, you can also only use one flip the script per turn. It's a 2 prizer here, 1 retreat to 210 HP. So pretty solid stats all around, other than the ability. Not like crazy, but pretty, like it's not like a huge liability, usually.
right.
So yeah, it's a good card. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very good card. It's it's what the most staple of the cards that we've talked about. Probably the most staple of the cards of any of the ones we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I mean, in
Um,
terms of being a staple, I don't know if I call any of them a staple. I probably would call this one a staple though.
you would. Is that what you
Mhm.
said?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's so universal. The one thing that hurts it, to my mind, is it's reactive, right? It doesn't let you set up in the first place. It comes into its own only after your opponent starts taking prizes. So if your opponent has a deck that's slower to set up, your Pheasant Dipity doesn't help you get going, right? If your opponent like is someone that just like sits behind Bidoof for 3 turns to set up, well, you're just kind of staring at your Pheasant Dipity while it's going on. So that's the negative part to it. That's where Mega Kangaskhan has more value, right? Because it gets you some stuff at that point. But in all, drawing 3 cards is just really good. Doesn't have to be active like Mega Kangaskhan. Retreat cost is 1, and yes, the attack never gets used, but it actually 100 anywhere actually is a nice. It's a nice option to have too. Probably should get used a little more, but it's. This one, I guess the question is going to come: is it an S tier card? Right? It's a better engine than I think we've talked about so far.
Yeah, I think so this I have a few things to say about this. One, it's good, right? It draws a bunch of cards.
Yep.
And it's pretty easy to slot in as well. Mega Kangaskhan. Well, finally, a Pheasant Dipty is played mostly as a one of, or it's like essentially exclusively as a one of. Um,
Yeah.
it's not just because you can't use one. You can only use one. Because Mega Kangaskhan is the same way, and it's played as I mean, it's played in higher counts. But that's
Yeah.
a big part due to wanting to start it. And also needing it a little bit earlier. If SFDEX you're using a bit later, obviously, mention that can be bad, but
Yeah.
it is also. I do want to mention as well the attack. The attack is pretty. Again, it's not really used, but whenever I see my opponents use it, I'm like, wow, it's really good. Or if they've dead
Yeah.
drawn. Actually, it's probably usually if they've dead drawn, but so it's definitely drawing 3 cards is nice, and it's on a basic here, very easy to just kind of slot into decks. Um, I would say previously I would have said this is definitely S tier. I've just been
hmm
playing it less. I don't know exactly why, but I've been playing it a lot less than I used to, and I think in general people are playing it a lot less than they've used to. Not that it's a bad card. It's not a bad card by any means, but I don't know. I just think it's fallen off a little. Like it's able to draw you cards, but I'm not sure. It's lost something. I'm struggling to put it into words here, but yeah, I don't know if you
so
agree.
it's not good anymore because only 8 of the top 10 players at NAIC played it. Top 10 finishers played at NAIC.
I mean, it's
That's
good.
your point.
One thing that is worth mentioning as well is it can't really like carry your whole deck in terms of draw. Like
No.
Mega Kangaskhan, it draws you another card there, but it's a nice option. But again, it is a one of, and
It
it's not doing all the draw you're looking for. In some ways, combining Pheasant EX plus Mega Kangaskhan EX is nice, but
right.
that's combining 2 cards, right? That's not one card.
Yeah, yeah, that's the big knock to me. Pheasantdipty, it's a support engine piece. It's not its own engine because it's only reactive, right? And you can only do it once per turn. To me, a classic engine, you can start going from early in the game, right? It helps you set up as well as respond. So Pheasantipity only helps you respond. It doesn't help you get going. So therefore, that is a knock on it. But I still think engine wise, still think it's probably better than these other engine pieces, though, right? Certainly in terms of plays, it belongs above them.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. Again, I do think I want to. I think it is in the same tier though. I think
Yeah.
all
Okay.
these feel pretty like fair in the same tier as the top engines in the game. There might be one more that'll end up in this tier as well. I'm not sure. But we'll talk about those. But yeah, I think that Fezzik EX is very good. I think it again. I don't think it's as good as it was previously. At one point, we see more decks running these like other engines that are. We see Ends and Dragapult, I would say, being the top two decks. I think Ends is very good as well. I've been playing a little recently, and I've been very
Hmm.
impressed by it. But as well as Mega Kangaskhan in Meowth, I think we got this like Mega Kangaskhan Meowth Fezzik EX engine. Again, Meowth's not on it. Debatably, it should be even maybe something like Teal Sugar Pontiacs kind of slotting in there, making
Hmm.
this well-rounded engine. But each card in the engine is just doing a little bit.
Right. They all have their place. Pheasantipede is the most universal of those
Yeah,
pieces, though, right?
yeah,
So therefore, top of A tier. It could even be S tier, but we're putting it on top of A tier.
yeah. Next, I want to talk about another top engine, which I think is pretty interesting, which is Noctowl. I guess I will mention as well, Fanrotom kind of slots in, I guess. I don't know. We don't have it here. It's not an engine.
Hmm.
It's just a one-time search card. But we have
Right.
Noctowl. One play from your hand onto you, to evolve. Obviously, it's stage one here. Then you get to search your deck for any two trainers, reveal and put them into your hand, and it only works though if you have a Terra Pokemon in play. I
Right.
played with some Noctowl. I think you played with more Noctowl than me, maybe. I don't know, but definitely an interesting engine.
Yeah, I mean, comparing it to the old Inteleon engine, which is a good way to do it, I think, it gets you two trainers, the same as the Inteleon, the stage two. This is a stage one, better in that aspect. But of course, you have to have that Terra in play. So it's really good engine. If you're playing a Terra, I mean, it's you need a reason not to play this engine, I would say. There are some things that maybe bench space wise or deck space wise you don't want to do it, but at this point, I would think where the game is, you're playing a Terra, a basic Terra that is. Like a stage two Terra is a different thing because you're probably not going to get so much value out of it. So I'd be hesitant there. Because I was doing some two cannon Terrapagos, right, with Noctowl. So
Yeah,
right. That's yeah. So which I was working pretty well. Honestly, I was enjoying that with it. And yeah, Fan Rotom makes this so much better. And I don't know if we should take if that hurts Noctowl that it needs that Fan Rotom to set up because it is really important you get at least one basic Hoot Hoot, one Noctowl on hand plus one other card, so you're getting set up for the next turn with it. So without that, not that Fan Rotom Noctowl would be a little worse, but and we have Pal Pads, so or Pokepad, sorry, so
yeah.
that helps something like this go as well. So it is a really good engine for the decks that can use it, but of course most decks can't use it. So that's the quandary with a card like this.
Yeah, and part of it is, I mean, technically any deck kind of can use it by slotting in like Terapagos or whatever, some basic mega.
Yeah.
But then it like I've definitely tried that. I mean, I'd say the biggest deck with that I've tried it was is Toucannon, where yeah, I'm mostly slotting in the
Hmm.
Terra. I mean, I'm telling in the Terra for Air Zero under ups, but like really
Yeah.
kind of forcing the Terra into the deck. And Noctowl feels kind of mediocre there. Um, in my play, you were playing it more. This is, I'd say, more well-rounded, probably all around built deck. But Noctowl, if you're try to like kind of slot into a deck, we see Noctowl with like Charizard. We've seen it with Charizard
Hmm.
DX, which isn't in standard. We've seen it with Dragapult some. Um, it feels kind of clunky to slot into these decks. So I think it, fits really well into certain styles of decks and can feel really amazing there. It also, I will say,
Hmm.
even in the decks where it is very good though and slots very easily, you do need the Terra in play. You're not
Yeah.
running what? You're certainly not running more than presumably five Terras in your deck. Five
Right.
basic Terras. That five is a lot. So you're probably Actually, maybe you will in some very niche stuff, but regardless, there are times when you don't have the Terra, you need to search out the Terra. That's another piece. I mentioned this earlier, at the very beginning with the amount of cards you need to commit to, like, get it going, and in some ways you need to commit an extra card with the Terra itself. Also, this is an engine that, I mean, you need to play cards to get cards, right? You actually commit
Yeah.
2 cards to the Hoo-Hoo and the Knockout to get 2 more cards. Technically, those cards could get you more than 2 cards. They could, they can do different things. But
Right.
it is a search engine, though. It's not just a general draw engine, which makes it a lot better. And it searches
Hmm.
pretty much anything. It doesn't literally search everything, but um, I mean, technically, it can get you to anything, I believe. So that is very good. But again, it is something that is an on-play engine, which can be bad, especially if you get hit by late game disruption. So it can be
Yeah.
that regard fragile. Um, I think it's good. I don't know. Where do you want to rank this?
Yeah, I mean, with Noctowl, you can only play you're playing Noctowl once to twice a game, even with like my Terapagos deck
Maybe more
reliably.
in some decks, maybe 3.
Occasionally, I mean, back with the Intelligent Engine, you had Scoop Up Net, so that changed the dynamics. Right here, the only way you're really getting more is if you're playing the Arizona Under Depths, it gets bumped. You get rid of your Noctowls, then you play it down again. You play like and you recover and you get going again. So it is niche, and when you do it, but those turns when you do it is really good. I think it's probably like B tier though, is what I'd say. It's
Yeah,
very good for decks that can use it, but you know, most decks can't.
yeah, and it's a little inconsistent, which is not what you're looking for with your engine. It's not like
Yeah.
terribly inconsistent. It usually works pretty well, but it's it's a little niche, has some issues, but it has really
Yep.
interesting upside and really, I think it's the most interesting of the engines in terms of just
Mhm.
being an engine here.
Yeah, when it goes, it's really powerful. Obviously, if you're staring at a Noctowl and you can evolve, but you don't have your Terra in play, you're very sad about that because there's nothing you can do at that
Yeah,
point. So
yeah,
you're just dreaming of what you could do, if only.
yeah. No,
But
I,
yeah,
I
I
will say
think
I said most interesting being good. Um, so there's a bunch we obviously haven't talked about. We'll probably go a little
yeah,
faster through these, though. I do want to talk about them
yes.
still in some interesting details there because there's some really weird stuff to talk about here. Most of the rest of the ones are not good. There are a few that are pretty good, but there's a lot that are bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so where do you want to go next?
I guess let's go to. I didn't think this far ahead. I just thought to knockdown is kind of what I was thinking. But
Okay.
let's go to. I guess let's talk. Go to the next one in order. I guess we can start with these draw until you have ones, of
Okay.
which there
Yep.
are 4. Yeah, 4. So
Okay.
we got Ionu's Kilowattrel. Ionu's Kilowattrel is actually really sick. It's a card I want to play with more. I've talked about, like, asked obviously people in the comment section, and we still want to hear comments on these cards, but this is one I definitely want to hear people's thoughts on.
Yeah.
If anyone's found a list that's been like super good with it, Ionu's Kilowattrel is interesting with its ability flashing draw. You must
Yep.
discard. It's a once per turn ability. You discard a lightning energy from this Pokemon, and then you draw until you have 6 cards in hand. I mean, you mentioned earlier, draw until you have 5 with a barrel is good. This draws until you have 6,
Hmm.
so it's even better. Not actually, but this
Well,
is if you're familiar with Rever Room was. I mean, you don't think it was that good, right?
no, no, unfortunately not.
Yeah, and I
I
also
gotta
did
say.
not because it wasn't. But in some ways, it was better than this because I mean, this requires an attachment to draw you cards. Luckily, there is the Electric to accelerate lightning from your discard pile to your Pokemon, so then you can use that for a repeatable draw engine. It's pretty fun.
Right.
I played in live GLC some, which is honestly it's okay. I think it's worth running there. But when that's what we're talking about here, this is a standard tier list, and it has synergy with the Iono deck. The Iono deck isn't good, and so I don't think it's going to play into it too much. I think it's the like electric lightning box style deck or whatever, or Mega Magnetic deck is better by a
Hmm.
substantial enough margin to not really count the Iono stuff very much. The Iono's package, not the Iono's Kilowattrel.
Yeah.
Um, and so, not that it's that good, but it's better. So then you're able to draw some cards. Um, it's really fun. It can be pretty explosive. At times, you can use a bunch of this per turn. You can use multiple different Iono's Kilowattrels. Um, it is energy hungry though. That's really sketchy. Oh, sorry, I have a question. So you mentioned you counted decks that were competitive. You said this one didn't count, right?
Right. It was played in one deck, so I'm not counting it as being a competitive card.
Yeah,
And I assume you'd agree with that.
yeah.
Um, I mean, look, potential drawing to 6 in hand is good, but having to have an energy in hand to discard to draw
On board.
isn't all. Yeah, no, but if it was just in
Oh yeah,
hand, it's not great,
yeah,
right? Uh, but it's okay. But having it to have it attached is bad because now you're having to because you need energies to attack, right? So you're kind of relying on Crispin or something. So that's a big knock on it. What I did think through, what I just realized is I could try this out. We have the new Miraidon, right? Because I was getting that in my build and
oh
battle
yes,
kit for the new set, which you get knocked out, you move energies to the bench, so that you attack with Miraidon, and then you move your 2 energies here. So now you have 2 turns of drawing your 6 cards in hand. So that could be okay, but it's still it's has potential. So but it's probably like a D tier card, honestly, at the end of the day.
yeah. I was thinking. I'd put it above Rapidash. I think it's more interesting. I mean, like everything, as we
Yeah.
said, is more interesting than Rapidash. But yeah, I'd say right above Rapidash seems fine enough there.
Yeah.
But this is kind of cool. If you tried it, it is kind of fun. And can be really good. But another one of these engines where you kind of need stuff already kind of set up, which is bad. Then we have the
Right.
next one, which is Delphox. Delphox is also kind of similar. This is one I've gotten so many comments about this card. I don't know why. I've gotten like so many people saying this card's good, and it's like not that good. But this one has an ability that says once in your turn, you can discard a basic fire from your hand to use this ability, and then you draw until you have 7 in hand. As this is from your hand, is one specific type. It also has a better attack for 2 fire 30 for each energy attached to to all Pokemon, both yours and your opponents there. It's a fun little attack. It's not really that good. It's not an attack that I've seen this card occasionally, and I haven't seen this attack actually used. I don't think. Um, but this card is able to do some like okay draw stuff. What are your thoughts on it? Obviously, it's a stage 2 as well.
Yeah, it's a stage two. Look, if it was a stage one, it would be pretty good potentially, right? I mean, look, drawing to
Yeah,
7 is good, and
be
the
okay.
fact that
Yeah,
you discard, and now you're discarding an energy from hand, so it's that's doable too. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not that good. I wish it was good. And I was looking at it. It hasn't been played competitively, and it has been played. It was played in only 10 City League decks. Now, I don't know the timing. Maybe the timing with the season made it awkward, but that's not much either. So, um, yeah, unfortunately, it's not good. It's interesting though, and I think it does have potential. But you need a fire deck that's playing rare candies to have it a consideration.
fire.
Yeah, fire deck with
Yeah,
like
I
4 rare
think you said fighting,
candies.
but I might have just misheard you.
I don't know.
Um,
I meant certainly meant fire.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Delphox. Was it F? Is it? No, it's D tier, probably F tier,
Yeah, I mean,
D tier.
it's better than Chandelure,
Yeah,
right?
it is better than Chandelure.
Isn't
So let's say
it?
D tier.
Yeah, we'll put it below Rapidash, although it's more interesting than Rapidash, but probably
Yeah.
we'll put it below Rapidash, I guess.
Yeah. Then speaking of not good dungeons, I have Crobat next. Crobat has this ability. This is not like Crobat from Chaos Rising, which is kind of
Yep.
a cool card and not that bad, but not very good either. This is Crobat from Shroud Fable. I talked about this in a recent video, and then again in another recent video, and I said it was not good. Because this card has the ability Shadow Envoy. During your turn, if you play Janine's Secret Art from your hand this turn, then you may draw until you have 8 cards in hand. And so yes, it does draw you a bunch. But you two have played Janine's Secret Art. Janine's Secret Art, if you're not familiar, is also from Shroud Fable. It's just a porter. It's not bad. It's solid. He's playing like ends. And it says you choose up to 2 of your Darkness Pokemon. For each of those, you search your deck for a basic Darkness energy and attach to that Pokemon. If you attach to your active,
Yeah.
it's now poisoned. So this is kind of like Crispin, I guess is kind of how I'd say it. It's a little more narrow. Can be better though, but
Hmm.
regardless, it's a fine supporter. Crobat, I guess I should mention its attack because Janine's accelerates to your board, and so Crobat does 120 for 2, and then does 2 poison instead of 1 poison. It's not very good, but yeah,
No.
we got this card. What are your thoughts on this card?
I mean, again, drawing to 8, we had that be, before.
We did.
Uh, oh no, I guess we didn't. So drawing to 8's very good, but you have to play the supporter that's it's okay, and we don't have pal pads, so even if you wanted to rely upon it, you're limited to how many times you can do it. It's a stage, so you have to do a bunch of work. Stage 2, you have to get it set up. You have to obviously take the deck space. You have to want to play that supporter. You're gonna only use that ability probably like twice over the course of the game, I think. probably because you got to play other supporters at times to get set up. So it's just not very good at the end of the day.
Yeah, I could talk more about this card, but I have in the past, and
Okay.
it's not really worth it to be honest. It wasn't worth it those times either, to be honest. But it is not good. It is like really awkward. If this was on like a basic or even a stage one, like I think a stage one, an ability like this, where you're getting some reward for playing this
Yeah.
specific card, it's interesting. Having this ability on a stage two is really rough. It's not a reward because you still need to put in the effort to set up the stage two. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just not good. I think so. It's F tier. I think is it above or below the cards we have in F tier right now?
Uh, I guess it probably has a little more potential than the other cards in F tier. That's what I would think.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Um, it doesn't like help your opponent a bunch, so that's fine.
Right. It doesn't do that. Yeah.
Right, then we have the last one here in this category, which is Quavel. This card has the ability up tempo. You must put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck to use this ability, and then once in your turn, you can draw until you have 5 cards in hand. So this is definitely better than Crobat, certainly.
Yeah.
Um, it's probably the best of the ones we've talked about of these categories. Maybe I don't know if you agree with that necessarily, but it is a stage two. But it is like decent
Right.
draw. It's going to be presumably better than a barrel unless you have no cards in hand. Um, so it's pretty it's like no, it's not bad. I mean, it's not good. It's just kind of bad, but it's not compared to some of these other cards. It's not like truly horrendous. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah. I mean, you always have a card to discard, at
Yeah.
least hopefully, right? So
Well,
you're
I mean,
drawing
at
for
the
turn
start of
at
your turn,
least.
you'll always have a card.
Right. So you can do this, and then you're putting the card on the bottom of the deck, so you're not discarding it if you want to get it back later, and you draw one more card to replace it. So that's the good. So all in all, that's actually good that you put the card on the bottom of your deck, right? I think that's better than not doing anything. But it's a stage two. Yeah, the attack's not too good, so it's again it's in the not very good category. It's better than it's falling on D tier somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'd say it's above Raptash, maybe above Iono's Collateral.
Yeah, it's probably the best of the D tier ones, right?
Okay.
But well
Yeah.
below Toucannon.
Yeah. And then I guess we move on to the next one here, just on the tail list here, which is Lunatone. Lunatone is a card that obviously is good. This one is good. Letting you
Yes.
discard a fighting energy from your hand to draw 3 cards. And then you do need Solrock in play to do this, though. There is also Solrock, which is getting counted some, letting you do 70 for 1
Yeah.
fighting. It's not Solrock, or it's not Lunatone. But I think we should count it some. Obviously, you need
Mhm.
both in play to do either of those things. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the ability is good, right? But it is obviously niche as well. You can only use 1 lunar cycle per turn as well. So, yeah.
Right. I mean, it was good with Goldengo, right? And it's fallen off since then.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it's played
doesn't
in
have.
Mega Lucario. It's played in and I still think Sailage is all right. And yeah, it's been played in some.
Yeah.
It's played in a few different things.
Yeah, Sarah Ledge, and then Mega Lucario's I don't think unfortunately is all that good. So, but it's a
But you
good,
think Sailage is
discard.
that good?
No, I don't think either one's
Oh,
that good. I think Goldengo was good, and I think it
yeah,
made sense with that as a pair, and that was its peak, and it probably will never get to that heights again. Time will tell what else comes out, but discarding 1 energy to draw 3 is good. Obviously, like Radiant Greninja, it was any type of energy, and you didn't need it. Something else to play. That was tremendous. Obviously, this is you need a second card. Pokemon has 1 type, but I think it's a balanced card, but it's this one probably like a B tier card. I would think again, it's limited as is Noctowl, but obviously it's got the advantage. It's you can do it multiple turns. It's not A tier, just I think because the energy type limits it. But it is a good engine.
yeah. Do you think it's above or below Noctowl?
I'd probably put it above. It's probably potentially more. It depends which one just can get used more. Is what I'd say. They're both good abilities in different ways.
Yeah,
So
and
I'd put it above Noctowl.
yeah, and they are both they're I'd say very good abilities, but they are more
Yes.
specific than all the ones above.
Yep.
Then we got. I guess I'll talk about the Dunsparce next. Or actually, do you want to talk about the Dunsparce here? Then I'll talk about
Yeah,
it.
because I like the Dunsparce, and you've been a bit of a Dunsparce hater, right? Runaway draw, you draw, you shuffle it into the deck, and then you draw 3 cards. No, you draw 3 cards, and then shuffle in the
Yeah.
deck. Okay.
Because you can't
And
deck
all
out with
attached.
this. You can like, or you can like stop yourself from decking out.
But you can deck them out with Chandelure and Comfy, though. I've
Yeah.
done it, and it's a good feeling. So
Yeah.
if you want to feel good about yourself, so it's obviously very versatile. I think this, in some ways, is the best single prize engine in the game. I gotta say, you could argue with the Dunsparce. I mean, the Dracloak is right now is the highest one. Of course, the Dunsparce is purely an engine. There is the EX to attack with, but I don't think that has much value. But it's a good engine, keeps you from decking out, and you don't like it because you have to keep setting up every turn. That's the big difference. But it shuffles in, so as the game goes on, you'll be getting those pieces back, and it's not too. I think it's not that big a deal that it shuffles back in myself. So obviously, if you drew three every turn without doing anything, that'd be better. But that would be too good of an ability. So I think it's balanced. I don't think it's that hard to do the way they designed it. So I think it's a very good single prize engine. I think it's the best, most universal single prize engine in the game right now.
Yeah. I do want to say something. I do like Dunsparce. I think it's cool. Um, so I do want to start with that before obviously I
Okay.
say it's not good.
Now you
Um,
rip it.
yeah. Well, so first of all, where do you think it would be? Like you're kind of saying you think it's above Dracoloak or not necessarily?
If Dragapult didn't exist, it's above Dracloak for sure. I think it's the best. I mean, of these cards, I think this might be the best pure engine of any of these that we've talked about. Honestly,
Uh-huh.
I think it is.
Okay, so for me, I feel pretty confident on where I'd put it, which
Okay.
is F tier. No, I think it is B tier. It's ultimately, when you look at it, look at the amount of cards you put in, look at the amount of cards it gets out. You put in two
Mhm.
cards and it gets out one card, but you can't, it's not like you can just like do this 10 times in one turn. You can do this once every
No.
turn, theoretically. And you are spending resources though. You're like actually spending resources to get this going instead of spending them on your attacker. So if you have something like a Dracloak, over the course of 2 turns, you'll see more cards than Dunsparce. With the Dunsparce, you see 3 cards. Dracloak, you'll see 4 cards. You only get 2 cards. So if you look at it that way, it'll actually be the same after 3 turns, and that feels a little worse. But again, you are still seeing those 2 cards, and that's the same thing with Enzork. You actually get all both the cards. So that's good. And there, you are also getting value on board. Ultimately, I think one thing that is good that Dunsparce can do, which I think is the best thing that Dunsparce does, is the
Hmm.
fact that you can leave it on your board and then have a bunch of draw bursting in one
Yes.
turn. So I would say
Hmm.
this is really good. Uh, Except people never do this. They just like instantly use their Dunsparce and then get like hit with hand disruption and then lose. So, um,
Right.
yeah, that's how I usually see it used. And ultimately, has some like fun ideas like enriching energy, but that's like it doesn't actually
Yes.
work because like you need like all these extra energy attachments, which the decks that play it just don't have. Like no deck just has like tons of extra energy attachments really. So that idea is fun, but not like actually something that works very well. It can technically work, but again, like in order for it to work, you need to spend more resources. And you're also giving up your A spec. So the amount of resources you're committing is you're committing a lot of resources for something that's like a solid payoff, but it's not. I
Hmm.
mean, you're doing this instead of setting up your attacker in some ways. Theoretically, this can help you get there, but the idea is to kind of help you get like the Dunsparces to get more to Dunsparces, and it's honestly like it can be a resource drain in some ways. When I see it played, that's how I often see it played. And also on top of that, I mean, it just doesn't really do what an engine wants, what I'd say a good engine does, which is be reliable. I'd say it's the opposite of reliable. I see people use the Dunsparce, and then it kind of like fizzles out. I think that's something you've had too, right?
I think I find I work better with it. I think I've had better luck with it. I think I mesh better with this engine than you do too. I mean, on the pro side though, when people play the Alakazam deck, this is the engine they run, and the whole goal of Alakazam is to get a big hand size. So I know you're talking about spending cards to get cards, but therefore it is building up your hand size pretty consistently with it too, right? You're
Yeah.
getting 3 cards, you're playing down say 1 card because you got to get your basic down for the next turn. The enriching energy is tricky. I know that because yes, you're right. That's your attach for turn. In like Alakazam, you're attaching every turn to attack, so it gets tricky when you can do it. So I think that gets overhyped there. But I do think, yeah, look, if we had a make do Chinchino, that'd be better. But without that, engine wise, I think it's as good as Dracloak. I really do. It does a different thing, but it gets you getting 3 cards is quite good.
Yeah, getting through cards is good. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. Um, I mean, again, it
But
is this one-time thing though, right? So,
yeah,
which I think is a big like people are like, oh yeah, you just like get it back and then you just like do it again. But it's not an engine that just draws you three. It's like you can't really say the Dunsparce draws you 3 cards, and then like Enzoric draws you 2 cards or whatever, or like Meow
well,
Sam draws you 2 cards. Or sorry,
r-
Mega Kangaskhan draws you 2 cards. I mean, that's like not really. Those are very different. That's comparing like apples to oranges there.
yeah, but it's also not exactly a single use because Noctow's a single use. You play it and then you stare at it the rest of the
Yeah.
game. Here it goes back in your deck, you get it back again. So it's in between the single use of Noctowl and the repeated use of Dracoloak. It's somewhere. It's like it's 1.5 or I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. You
I'd
know what I
say,
mean?
yeah, I'd say, I mean, it doesn't take up bench space, which is good. And it also, like, or it doesn't really have to, which is nice. And it
Hmm.
also doesn't, in order to let you reuse it, you don't need to like recover it. So, um,
Yeah.
it can be reused, but it's not. I mean, yeah, I'd say it's more like 1.25. It's not nothing. Like it's definitely worth something.
Hmm.
To be able to use it, but I think it's like people act like you just like always have the Dunsparce and you're just like using Dunsparce all the time. You're drawing 3 cards all the time. But most of those cards you're drawing are the Dunsparce cards to get to Dunsparce. So it is solid. It's okay. I think to me it's pretty clearly B tier. As an engine, that's
All
my
right.
thought. I don't think you
Okay.
don't think
Well,
that, right?
all right. If it's B tier, it's got to go top of B tier because
Okay.
it's the most universal of the B tier, right?
That
It
is
can
fair.
go
It
in
is the
any
most
deck.
universal. I see it as the
So,
lowest upside of the 3 and B tier. Um,
all right.
but yeah. So you're
Okay.
content with
I
this.
yeah. I'm slightly uncontent, but I can live with it.
Okay,
Is where
sounds
I'm
good.
at. So, yeah.
I feel very comfortable putting in B tier. I think
Okay.
it's debatable where you rank them. Anyways, then we
Okay.
got my favorite engine, which is obviously better than no, it's not better than Dunsparce, but we got Silvally. Silvally is super fun. It's not very good, but you have this ability, Call a Buddy. Once in your turn, if you have no cards in hand, you can use this ability. But you can only use it if you have no cards in hand. You search for any
Yeah.
support or reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. In some ways, this is very similar to Meowth EX, but this is multi-time use, and I don't know, feels more like an engine than Meowth. I played with this some. Um, what?
Okay.
It's not better than
Well, I
Meowth.
don't. Well, I don't know if it feels like it. You have to get to know cards in hand, though. At least Meowth, I get it. I play it. It does something, right? This
Yeah,
one, again, I might just stare at it. It is
yeah,
multi-use if you get the right cards in hand, so you can set it up every turn.
yeah. Well, I've been playing a bunch of Slowbro, and I found it a lot easier to set up. Oh, I've been playing pre-release as well. I guess that's
Yeah.
changed now, but and in the pre-release, or the build battle kit, I found it shockingly easy to get Silvally set
Okay.
up. Not like super, not actually that easy, but more than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be like not doable that often because I mean build and battle like that's inconsistent, but not it's felt pretty solid there. So honestly, that's been it works. It works all right in the deck. We were trying to get no cards in hand. I wanted to play this card, and at some point I should probably try it in a deck where you want cards in hand, which is most decks. Um,
Hmm.
but getting any supporter every turn is nice. There's some supports it's like it doesn't really work with.
Right.
Like for example, Gwen, a solid supporter, it doesn't work with. But ultimately, this is still fun. It is more fun, right? Let's be
Hmm.
honest, it's more fun than good. And
Yeah.
I think you find it fun and interesting as an idea, at least, right? And difficult
It
to
is,
use.
and it's not bad, right? It obviously hasn't been played competitively, but it hasn't been around to be played competitively. So, but it's not as good as like the A or B tier cards, right?
Yeah, no.
I mean, I think we finally have something to join Toucannon, right? But it's also
Oh no,
better
I
than
was
the
gonna say
D.
it's probably D tier. I'm not gonna lie.
You think it's D tier?
I mean, I don't know. It's actually pretty hard here. I think it's in between. I'm looking at like Toucan obviously is a better attacker. I think Toucan is definitely a better Pokemon than Silvally as much as I want to play with it because you
Well,
haven't played that
yeah.
much with Silvally, right?
No. Once you bring in the attack, then Toucannon definitely is clearly better.
Yeah, I mean Toucan and
That's
obviously the
no
attack's
doubt.
part of what makes it good, right? If that
Yeah.
wasn't, it didn't. I think Silvally because I played with it. You haven't played with it too much. How have you felt it play when you played
I
with it?
think I've only played it in the build and battle kit.
Okay,
And I found it was a tough deck to play, is what I'll
yeah,
say. Um, it's so okay. So if you want to put it D tier, it's got to be top of D tier though,
yeah.
right? Because
No, I
this
think it's top
could be an engine. The other ones in D tier really aren't viable options, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's closer to Quaquaval than it is to Cannon in my mind.
Okay.
But it's fun, it's cool, and it is worth trying out with a little bit. Also, I will say the basic doesn't have 100 HP. Well, it has more than 100 HP, so you can't search it off of Fan Town, which is also unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it yeah, that makes it harder. And obviously you can't keep yeah, and you can't get Buddy Buddy Poffin either. So you're using your Pokepads to get it going. So that's not so ideal either.
Yeah. But then we have, I guess, we have Thwacky. This one's interesting. Searching any card every turn. You can use
Yeah.
as many Thwackies as you want. No, each one once, but you can use any number. And then what the ability does is it only works if you have a Pokemon with Festival Lead in the active. Keep in mind, it is a Pokemon with the ability Festival Lead in the active. You don't need the Stadium
Right.
Festival Grounds in play. I've heard that confusion sometimes. Um,
Yep.
yeah, so that's, this is interesting. Obviously, very good if you can use it. It's a little inconsistent. It's not horribly inconsistent once you're going. It works pretty well once you're going. Um,
Mhm.
but it also, I mean, it's kind of awkward to get going. Obviously, is not very universal, I wouldn't say.
No, it goes in a Festival Lead deck where you're attacking with Festival Lead, right? I mean, that's what you do with it.
I mean, you could
Otherwise,
put it
you
in
don't.
other things. You could play, obviously,
You
you need one of the
could.
basics, but you can. I will say the Swirlix is interesting with telepathic psychic energy. That's something I played with a little bit, and it feels interesting, is what I'd say. So I think Thwacky is a card that is, I don't know, it has interesting potential. Outside of Festival Lead, obviously within
Okay.
Festival Lead, it's pretty good. It's kind of like, I'd say the B-tier engines, I'd say it's a little more niche, but a little stronger is kind of what I'd say. I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I'd say it's pretty close to the B-tier engines. Yeah.
I yeah. I mean, if you want it in a non-Festival Lead deck, which I know you tried that with some control, and that's probably where it would go because
Oh,
it
yeah.
gives
Well,
you that ancient.
in the no cards in hand deck as well.
Okay. That's
You
true
tried.
too. It's the downside to that is you need the Festival Lead attacker, even though you're not going to attack with it, and you need the stage one. So it's so you're thinking it's what you think it's what B tier,
Yeah,
C tier.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to put it above Dunsparce. I don't think you want that, do you?
I mean, the Dunsparce is clearly more universal, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Thwacky, when I've played with Thwacky, once you get Thwacky set up, it's like the game is won. But then, honestly, half the time I just can't get Thwacky set up, and
But when
then
was the
it's
last time
just
you
not
played with
good.
Thwacky?
I've done it a little bit at
Have you
times.
played with it since Pokepad?
I a little bit.
Okay.
Not a lot though. Not a lot. So I do need to give it more of a try. Um, but it really is a Festival Lead card. Goes in Festival Lead
Yeah.
decks. Though to be honest, you would acknowledge that too. And Festival Lead is okay, but not great,
Yeah. I
right?
mean,
So
it's probably a top 5 deck right now, I'd say. Um, yeah.
maybe, but it's an engine for one deck, right?
Yeah.
So therefore that hurts it. So I
But
think it
that's true for, yeah, it does, but that's also kind of true for Draco, for Enzor, for a bunch of these, for a handful.
yeah, not the ones on B tier though, right? Noctowl has some its limitations, but more than just a deck. Lunatone, multiple decks as well. So I want to put it more low B tier. I gotta say,
Okay,
you
I'm
want it
fine.
high B tier.
You want it at the bottom of B tier?
Yeah, I guess so. It could go above Noctowl maybe, depending what you want to do with it.
Okay. Wait, sorry. Where's Noctowl? Is that at the
I have Noctowl at the bottom of B tier right
Oh, okay.
now.
I had Lunatone below. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll move Noctowl below. Yeah, okay,
Okay.
that sounds fine. And then we got the last one here, Tatsugiri. We've gone a little long because there's interesting stuff to talk about
Yeah.
here. Hopefully interesting. So Tatsugiri is the last one. This one's interesting. Honestly, it's not seeing that much play recently. It's seeing some play, I guess, in ends, but it
Right.
has an ability. Once on your turn, if it's in the active, you can look at the top 6 cards of your deck, reveal the support you find there, put it into your hand, and then shuffle the others back into your deck. Get 2 supporters. Those can get you cards. It's good. Right. It's pretty low maintenance as well.
Yeah.
It's a basic single prize engine. It is the only one on this list, so that's good.
Yeah, it's single prize basic. We have air balloons, so that's good there. Yeah, look at the top 6 cards, get a supporter. It's good. It's one that I think deserves more attention that it actually gets. It's seen like a moderate amount of play the whole time it's been out. So I say it hasn't seen huge play, but there's people playing it both at serious competitive decks and at all levels. So it's a good engine. It's a good potential to include in any deck, especially now we're playing air balloon in decks. It probably should see more because then it just gives you a pivot once it's in play. And in that sense, it's not an A tier card. I don't know. Is it a B tier card though?
Um, yeah, I don't know. So I'm trying to think. I've been playing with it. Honestly, I'm playing it with no cards in hand deck a little bit. I mean, it's
Hmm.
interesting. It's so almost forgettable. Or I know forgettable
Yeah.
is the right word, but it's so forgotten, I think is the word. Um,
Hmm.
it's not, the main part of your engine, which is kind of like, I mean, in some ways it's like my Kangaskhan EX. I think they're
Right.
pretty similar, but it doesn't get you any card. It only gets you supporters, and it can miss. And the supporters in stand right
Yes.
now are when you look at general supporters, they're not super impressive. Obviously, a boss and Lily is both very good. In terms of regular draw supporters, you have Lilies, that's the main
Yeah.
one, and then that's about it, right? Then you're looking at stuff that's going to be more situational, not necessarily set you up in necessarily quite the right moments. So, and then if you're
Yeah.
playing Meowth, then you're probably not playing Tatsugiri. I'd say it's more like either or. So this is a deck that's running probably a Bloody Brave Hoffen deck, I'd say. But then you also want the switch because it works with a lot of the SCX, but then you're probably playing Kangaskhan. So
Right.
yeah, I'd say honestly, I could even see this in C tier. In terms of plays, I think I don't know. I guess it should probably be in B tier, but I could see it in C tier.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get a lot of attention, right? It's been
Yeah,
around for a good bit now, and it sees play, but it's like a secondary or tertiary engine piece, right?
yeah,
It's useful, and also when I play it in decks, I don't prioritize getting in play, right? I always want to. There's other pieces that I always need to get prioritized, which also then hurts taking advantage of Tatsugiri as well.
yeah. It's like it's pretty bad in the late game. Maybe it could be useful for a boss, but like it's not usually too good the turn you get it down. It's probably useful after that. So, where do you want to rank it then?
Yeah, I guess C tier. We'll put it top of C tier. I
Yeah, that's
can I
fine. I
can
think
do that.
it's a decent card. But when you look at the ones in B tier, they're kind of explosive, really high upside. You look at the ones in A
Yeah.
tier, they're a bit more well-rounded. C tier is, okay, but not, I don't think they're standing out like crazy.
Yeah, no, and then we've got, a bunch of cards in D and F tier, which some of them are just bad and some of them are interesting, worth trying to come up with something, to think about at times what you can do. So it's, I think taking a look at it to me, the state of support Pokemon is probably better than I thought in that there's some depth here for support Pokemon, which is a nice thing.
Yeah, with the engines here,
Yeah,
and
engine Pokemon,
yeah,
yeah.
because there are other support Pokemon. To be honest, the other support
Right.
Pokemon I would say are a little disappointing potentially. I don't know, maybe we should do that at some point in the future. But ultimately, yeah, you have some good cards and some pieces like that don't make up the whole engine, but make it part of the engine, which is really cool as well. Some universal, some not as universal, and the more generic ones are also kind of tied to specific decks with Dragapult EX and Zoroark EX and even Mega Kangaskhan.
Yeah.
But tell us your thoughts on these cards in the comment section on our YouTube channels. Uncommon Fossil and 10 Types, and also make sure you subscribe to our channels there and like the videos because that we appreciate it and it helps us out. Also, on top of that, make sure that obviously you can continue listening to us on YouTube or on podcasting platforms, and we're on both of those, so you can check those out there. But we hope you all enjoyed, and as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.